Welcome everybody, welcome to another episode of Fight Briefing, episode number 25. How many people are
wonderful
in the chat? How many people are excited in the chat for a third fight of the week?
Yes,
Alright guys, how's everyone doing? Hope everyone is wonderful. As I had just mentioned, here I'll do the Luke Thomas one.
wonderful.
It's pretty loud. Alright guys, so yeah, this is the third fight of the week, and it's been good so far, if you ask me. I think all the fights have been pretty spectacular, and I'm excited to talk about this one, especially having Walt Harris return after that horrible thing that has happened to his family and his daughter and stuff like that. It's pretty fucked up, but to see him come back is really nice. It's really nice. It's all the badges is DRS. Oh yeah, guys, there's a new emoji in the chat if you would like to become a member. But yeah. There's Moss, the no nacho zone. All right, guys. We're getting ready to talk about the main card for UFC Fight Night, Harris versus Overeem. This is the third of the UFC trio of quick fire shows in Jacksonville, Florida, where they were hosting it. During the current COVID-19 pandemic, this has seemed to be the best place for them to put it on, and they did. Now all the members dropped the nachos in the chat. If you guys want that emoji, you just got to click join in the description, or in the next to the subscribe button, or you can go in the description there. Overeem versus Harris largely features a bunch of fights that were planned for a canceled event on April 11th, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, was UFC on ESPN Plus 30 in Portland, but they couldn't make that happen. So overall, this doesn't look like a bad card that they put together by any means. It's certainly not the best card, but I cannot complain given that we finally have some MMA fights back. It doesn't have the depth of UFC 249. It honestly, in my opinion, doesn't have the same excitement as the fights last night, but as a free TV show, it looks solid enough to me, and there should be plenty of exciting matchups on that card. So let's just go through who's on the main card for this weekend, starting with the first fight. We have Yadong versus Marlon Vera. Eryk versus Krzysztof Jotko. Dan Ige versus Edson Barboza. Claudia Gadelha versus Angela Hill is our co-main. And then our main event is Alistair versus Walt Harris. So I'm excited to get into this with you guys. In fact, I think I'm just going to jump right into it now. It's nice to see you guys in the chat. Thank you so much for all of your guys' support, especially over the last couple of days. It's great to see that you guys are not only here to donate and become members and stuff like that, but just to drop likes and hang out in the chat. So we do appreciate you guys being here. Now let's get into the first fight of the main card. We have, let's scroll there, Yadong versus Marlon Vera. Now, I think this might be the most exciting fight on the card, if you ask me. Whoa, what's up, Pale Monkey? Let's go, Pale Monkey! Thank you for becoming a member! Let's go! Wonderful! Thank you, man. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Pale Monkey. Yeah, guys, if you want to become a member, there's a join button next to subscribe, or there's a link in the description. But Pale Monkey, thank you so much for supporting the show like that, man. We need you guys' support now more than ever. All right. I forgot. We get the notifications on the second channel, and Pale Monkey became a sponsor. There you go. Yadong versus Marlon Vera. Now, Chrome to your dome! Let's go! All the no nachos in the chat. Oh, man.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Chrome. You guys are fucking awesome, man. I'm trying to stay focused here. Don't worry. I'll get to the fights right now. I appreciate you guys' support. Thank you so much. You have no idea. All right. Yadong versus Marlon Vera. Now, Yadong is an extremely dangerous man, in my opinion, and there's his notification, Chrome to your dome. I do worry that Song might be a little underestimated in this fight, especially given his last fight where he kind of threw that illegal knee. Song is an incredibly natural athlete. He's got some of the most explosive striking inside the cage. And we saw this with a few of his finishes in recent fights. His most recent fight was against Cody Stamann. And it was a fight that Song would have had won had he not received a point deduction because of an illegal knee in the first round. Now, when I saw that, I think a lot of us asked ourselves, why would he do that, right? But I think he was so caught up in the moment, it's hard to kind of hold that against him here. What's worrying about Song is that fight also saw him largely dominated on the ground, and in the third round, mostly, he was looking like he was kind of gassing out a little bit, which to me is a little bit concerning, given that he's going to need that gas tank against someone like Vera. Now, Vera doesn't have as much of pure striking as Song Yadong does, but he's far more rangy. He does hold a 3-inch reach advantage over Song, and that's a pretty telling sign when it comes to his striking game. Honestly, judging by Song's last fight with Stamann, I would argue that Song is going to put up a hell of a fight should Vera decide to take this to the ground. But bottom line, guys, despite the finishing skills of both of these men, I can honestly see this one going the distance purely because of their toughness. But I think Vera...
Shopping during a pandemic.
Donation.
Sing me a song for Song Jesse's. I wonder if he is a good singer with that name.
Maybe. Perhaps he is. I can't sing you any songs. Nobody's birthday's today, but I believe maybe he is. But I do think Vera has got just enough due to his range and I think he's got excellent groundwork. He's a predominantly well-rounded fighter. I think outpointing Song on the feet would not be too far out of reach to assume. And this is assuming that he doesn't get badly hurt early on by one of those incredible strikes by Song. So I'm going to have to go with Vera by decision, but this one could really go either way. I think it's going to be a pretty exciting fight. Oh, Nicole Wilson! Oh, let's go, baby! Let's go! Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. You're wonderful. Man, guys, shout out to the respect, dude. Like, the constant support is... I don't want to suck your guys' dicks all night, but I'm just saying, man. If ever there was a time, now it means more now than ever. So thank you so much for all your support. Let me know who you guys have in the chat, Song Yadong or Marlon Vera. Don't be biased this time, says Brody Reeves. Texas Veteran says Banjo. Erie9 says, Sorry, I clicked the wrong one. We love you guys. Wait a minute. What? Says the double champ. Yadong, says Brody Reeves. Kind of with the thinking face. Song the Yadong. Why is Song Kainoto thinking? Masson says casual. Long Dong for the win. Wow. So I expected this because I believe that this is probably going to be the most anticipated fight of the night. I am surprised it's the first fight on the main card. I think it should have been a little higher. But as far as whether or not a fight can go either way, this would be it for sure. And there was a part of me that wanted to go Song, but I don't know. I just think Marlon Vera is going to bring a little bit more to the table on this one, and I think that's extremely important in a fight like this. So I went with Marlon Vera. Let's go on to the next fight of the card. Eryk Anders versus Jotko. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his first name. Krzysztof Jotko. Pulse.
I want Walt Harris to go all last Boy Scout and walk into the octagon with a .380 and shoot Alistair square in his forehead in representation of the angst he feels toward life because of what happened with his daughter.
That's horrible.
Something might be off with me.
No, listen, man, I agree with you. I'd be lying, and I'll get into the whole Walt Harris thing when we get to the main event, but I would be lying if I said I didn't think that that Walt Harris is going to bring in some semblance of rage, not at his, because of his opponent, but because of he's been through a lot. And I think it's human nature to want to find that release. And when it comes to a fighter, I think, and I'm no fighter, but I would assume that as a fighter, that release is in fights. It's in beating the shit out of somebody. So there's a lot that happened to him, man. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of that rage come out on Saturday night against his opponent. But we'll get to that. Don't worry. Eryk Anders versus Jotko. All right, guys. Now, I would say the biggest issue for Anders here is that it does seem like he's still very reliant on his athleticism and his power to kind of get him through fights. He has such an explosive nature that I honestly think that he's just comfortable falling into that, and he kind of doesn't really switch up his game too much. Jotko is a pretty lanky fighter, so he does tend to kind of look to clinch with his opponents and stuff and beat them up from a close range. But recently he has been relying more and more on his ground game, which is exciting to me because I don't think Eryk Anders is going to want to play there for too long if he's smart. Whether Jotko can get Anders down is another question entirely, but if he does, I think Jotko might have a little bit of an advantage here. Add in the fact that Jotko is arguably a more hittable opponent than Anders. Jotko has a little bit of a chin on him, or less chin, I guess you could say, where he can get knocked out. And it's easy to assume that Anders is probably going to find that perfect opportunity to hit that shot relatively quick. I do firmly believe that despite his lack of technical ability, he has shown patience in his previous fights and kind of always carried that power into later rounds. So I'm going to have to go Anders by KO TKO in the third round. I think Jotko has the tools to kind of give Anders a run for his money, but not enough to prevent Anders from hitting that nasty shot. And we all know Jotko can be taken down. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Eryk Anders or Krzysztof Jotko. All right, Jotko grinds that decision, says Donkerson. If Anders catches him with a proper uppercut, Jotko may fly away, says Pulse Resurrected. Roberto says, isn't Anders coming off of 2 KO losses? I know that, hold on. Let me just move it over to this for you guys so you can take a look here. By the way, if you haven't signed up to Goat Milk, make sure you do that now because you're going to want to participate in the fights for this weekend. Let me see over here where Anders sits on his record. All right, here we go. So he won his last 2 fights, decision and KO TKO, but then he did lose 2 decisions to Khalil Roundtree and Elias Theodoro, followed by Thiago Santos, which was a retirement loss. So no, he was not KO'd in his last 2 fights. Certainly has that ability to KO his opponent though there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that KO TKO in the third round. Listen, it is what it is. We all know what's going to happen. All right, guys. The next fight of the night is Dan Ige versus Edson Barboza. Oh, I'm scrolling a little too far there. Here we go. Now, this one fascinates me for a lot of reasons. I can't for the life of me understand why. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, their heads are chopped off. Oh, there we go. I can't for the life of me understand why Edson Barboza cut down again. I mean, he looked ripped at 155, and for him to go down to 145 was a little baffling to me. I just don't know if it was smart of him to put himself in this position because he could very well deplete his skill and his ability in a fight in comparison to people who are better at heavyweight. Like you take Darren Till, for example, he was better heavier. And I don't know if Barboza is really going to be better here. So let me just start with Ige, who is on a 5-fight winning streak right now. And he has looked pretty impressive throughout his UFC career. Overall, it's pretty easy to determine that Ige is a well-rounded fighter. He's certainly capable of hurting an opponent on the feet. He's got some pretty impressive striking abilities, so there's no doubt in my mind that he's probably going to put a lot of that to work. He's also incredible at outworking his opponents on the ground. Here we go. Chrome.
Pete, what's with the fucking wind last night? Shit blew our trampoline on top of my house last night.
PBR, what's with the fucking wind last night? Shit blew our trampoline. Your trampoline blew on top of your house? I highly doubt that. Your trampoline blew on top of your house. All right, guys. Now, when it comes to Dan Ige, he is incredible. He's good at outworking his opponents on the ground, which I think is going to come in handy in this fight against a more depleted Barboza, who did move down in weight. That's not to say, though, that Barboza doesn't have what it takes on the ground. We all know his takedown defense against lesser grapplers is pretty remarkable, to say the least. So, in fact, outside of the fact that Barboza is completely shredding his weight right now, I think this is going to come in handy, his grappling and stuff like that. And I could honestly argue that this fight looks great on paper for Barboza. Can you O-line? What does that mean? I say that if Barboza manages to make weight without any extreme issues, and provided he doesn't completely whittle himself down to nothingness, then I do believe this could be a lot like what we saw with Jose Aldo. Hopefully that's the case. And if it is, I feel Barboza will find himself a new home in this division, and he will be able to move his way up the ladder with relative ease. That's hoping that this weight cut is not going to kill him. Ah, Drunk Savage! Let's go!
Wonderful, wonderful.
Let's go, Drunk. Thank you for the support, man. You're awesome. So basically, guys, I just went with Barboza by TKO in the second round. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. All right. Moss and the Double Champ are dropping the no nachos allowed. One time at Bible school, I was talking about squirrels in my pants and gambling. They made me jump on a trampoline with my hands down my pants. All right. There you go. Hey, KBH, what's up, MMA Striker? Aiden says, Woodley or Burns? We'll get there. Oh, Woodley or Burns? Well, that's coming up soon, so I'll do a fight briefing on that. I pick Barboza 2. Whoever Glide picks says Matt Stone. Same round 2. KO says Lee W. Aiden Fat L says Kevin from Chicago. T-Jones says, Barboza round 2 TKO. All right, so now I think a lot of people are probably going to be going Barboza in this fight, and I don't know. I feel like you'd be smart to do so as well, but it is what it is. All right, guys, let's move on to the next fight up here. We have Claudia Gadelha versus Fluffyhead. Fluffyhead Angela Hill. Let me just move this around real quick. Hold on. All right. There we go. I don't feel well today, guys. I have a really bad pain in my side.
J. Crew baby, let's go.
Let's
Hashtag
go.
non-egos. Fat fucks. Love everyone. Let's go Barboza.
Yeah, man. Oh, listen, I'm legally not allowed to talk about them anymore, but I will say, and I'm supposed to give this shout out to all of our mods. I hope our mods are in the chat listening right now, especially if you're a mod on the main channel. There is a new thing that we have to announce before I get on to the next fight. If there are spammers in the chat, if there are people who just keep dropping the same thing over and over again in the chat at a consistent basis, this goes against everything we believe in. We don't believe in deleting people, banning people, or anything like that. That's not something that we do. But for legal purposes and for the protection of our channel in this current time, we need you to start paying attention to spammers. If anyone's coming in, not just spamming things, but with words of hatred or just negative things, it's unfortunate because we don't do that, but we have to now. So just for the time being, we need you to start paying attention to those things. And if anyone's coming in spamming hate or just spamming at all, we need you to put them in a timeout first. And if they still don't get the point, then you ban them. And unfortunately, that's, like I said, it goes against everything we believe in. We don't ban anybody around here, but it's going to have to happen for a little while. So we need you guys to pay attention to that if you could, please. Thank you. All right, guys, let's move on to Claudia Gadelha versus Angela Hill. Now, essentially, Gadelha, her grappling is a sort to never be underestimated. I mean, we've seen her at work before, and I mean, she's fantastic. We've seen that her technical striking is pretty superb as well. She works great at a top position, and that makes it more difficult to kind of doubt her against other opponents in her division. However, one thing I do believe that we should keep an eye on here is the fact that her gas tank has failed her a couple of times in the past. And if she puts too much exertion into her striking, I'm concerned it will stop her from having that same energy to finish the fight. So something we should just keep an eye out for. I'm not saying she's going to lose the fight because of that, but definitely keep an eye out for it. Hill's striking is also fantastic to watch. So Gadelha has a little bit of a run for her money here. The thing I like about her is that she does have that ability to work inside the range and at a distance. So she's a little bit more complex as a striker. I would argue that her defensive striking has steadily improved as well. With that in mind, though, her defensive grappling still isn't the best. She does seem to struggle a little bit when she's facing a strong grappler in her opponent. So she's definitely going to have to keep an eye out for that when facing someone like Gadelha. Now, bottom line for this fight, guys, I think Gadelha will need to be careful not to empty her gas tank too early if it turns out that she can't get Hill down. But I don't think that'll be the case if she can put Hill on her back. I think that she's likely to finish off as she did with Kovalkiewicz a couple of years ago. So I'm going to have to go with Gadelha. Submission, round 2. Let's see, Chrome.
Fuck food fight. You fat fucks. I hope your insides fall out asshole first. You probably sit down when you pee.
Whoa.
I bet you smell your fingers after digging in your butt. You're so lazy you probably wipe your boogers on the wall, you fat-footed bitches.
Oh, man. All I can do is laugh it off. That's all I'm allowed to do. So, thank you, Chrome, for the donation. I'm not allowed to make any comments here. I went with Gadelha submission round 3. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Gatesy versus Dustin 2. Hey, JBH, the baby says hello. Sorry about y'all's main channel. What cunts? Yeah, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. We move on. We'll fix this. Everything will be back to normal. Our team is already on it, so no worries. Sew their asshole shut and keep feeding them, says Texas. When's the next gaming stream? Well, hopefully during I think Fuka Friday we're doing another third. The pot is probably going to be a gaming stream, so I would assume if the pot wins, that'll be the next one there. They smell them after digging into each other's butts. Yeah, don't even give them the time of day, guys. Listen, the only reason I say that is I'm not allowed to talk about them, so I'm jealous. So let's just move on. So I had Claudia Gadelha by submission in the 3rd round. Now let's move on to the main event of the evening. We have Walt Harris versus Alistair Overeem. I didn't really have much to say about this fight, given that it was pretty clear that I was going to lean in one side. Maybe it's because of certain things that he's been through, but I feel he's going to come back stronger and more powerful than ever here. Harris is definitely one of those heavy hitters. He's got a lot of power behind his punches. He defeated Alexei Olenek by knockout, and if you ask me, that was an incredibly impressive finish to that fight. So I believe Harris is going to come back with a lot on his mind, and he's going to have a lot of, not hate, but a lot of emotion to exert into his fighting, and that could go one of two ways. One, it could cloud his judgment in his fights, in which case maybe he doesn't do as well as we think he would, because when your emotions get in the way, sometimes you make rash decisions that you wouldn't normally make. And that would maybe screw you in the long run, right? But then there's the other side where if you're so emotional about something and you've just got all that pent up frustration, sometimes it aids you in a situation like this where you can't let it go anywhere else in your life. You can't let it out on your family and on your friends. So you need to find another outlet. And for him, this other outlet would be his opponent.
Shopping during
right?
a pandemic.
Chrome.
Overeem about to get bit worse than a runaway slave from his master.
I'm thinking you might be right here. And that's what I'm saying. I think Harris is going to be using that emotion in an advantage and not a disadvantage. For me, the result of this one should honestly stem on whether or not Overeem can avoid the heavy shots from Harris. Overeem's chin has a poor reputation, and we've seen this. Of his 18 losses, 14 of them have come by knockout, but the truth is that he's tougher than his record suggests. So it's easy for us to be like, oh, he's got a glass chin, he's just going to get knocked out, blah, blah, blah. But you have to remember he has other skills that he can put to the test here. For me, honestly, the results of this one, I'm confident that Harris can catch him in a rush and put him away in the opening minutes of his fight. Overeem is a more technical striker, which is something that not a lot of people really pay attention to. But more than that, he is a more polished fighter than he was a couple of years ago. Harris does have the puncher's chance here. If we're being honest, I do see Overeem attempting to go to the ground and getting that submission victory, but overall, it's easy to argue that Harris will likely stop him before that happens. So, of course, I'm going to have to go with Harris by TKO in the second round. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. The ream will be heamed, says Yeet Yote Dude. Alex Level says, no nacho. Overeem will shoot, says Dunk Donkerson. Roberto Lopez says Harris is improved. Alex Level says if Walt can catch him in the first two, he can get the W. Post Resurrected, did Overeem finally get his lip stapled? Apparently, otherwise he wouldn't be fighting, right? Brody Reeves says Gadelha by decision and Walt Harris first round fucking KO. Rest in peace and Nia Blanchard. That's right, man. Reem round 3 TKO elbows. JBH, don't speak ill of my girlfriend Claudia. Alright, I won't. Crumpty Dumb says Harris by brutal rape. Sun Green says second round. Harris round 2 KO. Yeah, man, that's what I got too. He has 3 lips now. Harris has been through a lot. I believe he's concentrated that energy to training and becoming amazing. Alright. So that was my picks for UFC on ESPN this week. And make sure you guys tune in tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time for Fuka Friday. I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone who has been there to support us so far. I know it's been a hectic week, actually a hectic 2 weeks. And to see the level of support that we have received, not only in the chat, but outside of the shows, in our DMs, on social media, in our emails. You guys have been extremely supportive throughout the entire thing, and it's baffling that so many people find that they actually want to support a channel like us. So listen, it's cool. It's cool to see. I don't want to like gripe too much on it, and I can't talk too much about it, but we move on, we move forward. And we always bounce back. We're the MMA-HOLES. We're the strongest channel that you're ever going to find. I mean, all these other channels, listen, you could knock them down and they're probably only going to get up once before they give up, right? So the MMA-HOLES don't give up. And it's cool to see you guys just, supporting the show. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for joining us on the second channel. I know it was a little weird, a little off, but don't worry, we will be back to normal in no time. And I can't wait to enjoy the fights with you guys this Saturday. Don't forget to tune in on tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on this channel. Make sure you subscribe and share it on this channel. And yeah, we got Fuka Friday tomorrow. Can't wait to see you guys. All right, guys. We'll talk to you in a couple in about 24 hours. All right. See you guys later. Don't be an a-hole. Be an MMA-hole.